on Instagram.
Okay. So it's good to have you on, and good to talk to you. Good to we spoke a few days ago, and we thought that this would be great to speak together publicly and kind of talk about kind of what's been going on that everybody's dealing with, of course, COVID-19, and all around the world people are affected by this, but we both love Sacramento, and so our family there is deeply affected. So I just wanted to start off by asking, kind of how have you been handling things? How has life changed for you?
Well, Arik, first of all, I want to just say thank you, man, for doing this. And a couple of things. First of all, congrats on a great season. Congrats on your contract. It's really great. You're going to be with the Niners for the long haul and be closer to Sacramento. And mostly, I just want to thank you for how much you do and how much you care about your hometown, the greater Sacramento region, because you really are a stand-up guy. And that you and I could get together here tonight, and thank you, because now I'll have more followers than I've had in a long time here, to talk to people about the facts about COVID-19, to provide some resources and a little reassurance to people, I think is really a cool and important thing. So thank you. Hey, I personally am doing great, but I'm very worried about a lot of people that are hurting. Obviously, this is a unique situation, not just in Sacramento, but in the state, in the country, and the world. And first of all, there are a lot of people who've gotten sick and who have died, and that is the ultimate tragedy for families and for people whose lives are cut short. The other piece of this, though, is that there are so many people now that are hurting economically. I mean, the unemployment rate is at a record high. Obviously, a lot of small businesses in Sacramento have closed. And so this is a real test for our community. And there is some good news. We really have flattened the curve in California and in Sacramento. We have fewer than 1,000 cases, which are, still too many. But compared to other parts of the country and of the world, we're doing well. We don't have that many people in the hospital, and it's because we started early with the order, and it is an order from the county and from the state to stay distant from each other, as uncomfortable and as that is. I think we're beginning to see the success of that. The downside is we're not out of the woods yet, because we have to continue to do this until there's enough testing to be able to assure us that we can return to work and return to some form of our normal lives. And I think what's going to happen is that gradually we are going to get back, but it's going to be gradual and it is going to be different. And for me, it is a little odd being mayor from the den in my house, because my job is to be out there with the people, and I get a lot of energy from interacting with people. It's where I get my inspiration and good ideas, and also it's been different. I've adjusted to the Zoom revolution and know how to press the right button, and this community has been heroic in so many ways. People are just elevating to help each other around food, around helping small businesses, around education. We're standing up a major homeless initiative here to try to really get more people off the street than we ever have before. The city's holding together and the region's holding together really well, but it's tough.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely tough on everybody. I think the main thing is everybody's trying to take it day by day, and there's a lot of confusion out there, and a lot of misinformation, and that's why I thought it was very important for us to speak and try to see where there's light at the end of the tunnel. Try to for everybody to have some solace and some solid ground where we can look towards the future and continue to work together, and have some hope. And for me, I know this has been a difficult period for me individually, and I know like it has been for everybody. And making these hard transitions into quarantine life have just been a challenge and weighing on, I think, everybody's physical and mental. And looking around, people are constantly getting things canceled, and I was reading stories about, I didn't even think about young people, how they won't be able to have a prom or a high school graduation.
Yeah.
And, I've been kind of going through similar things. I had some big plans this off season to get married to my fiance, and we had to cancel our wedding. And she was moving to California, so all those plans are have been.
How'd you deal with that disappointment?
It's I think the important thing is to I think I struggle with not allowing myself to be disappointed. Really, I will look at it like, oh, I'm healthy, I'm not sick, so kind of my problems or what I'm going through is small in the grand scheme of things. But I think these things that people are going through are big deals, and they impact our lives day in and day out. And I think people should take the time to allow yourself to be disappointed, allow yourself to be frustrated, allow yourself to be upset that things aren't going as you hoped. And I think that's super important for people to give themselves some time to allow themselves to do that, for sure.
I'm really glad you made that point. I think it is really actually a profound point. I mean, think about it when, if you have a friend or a teammate who's having a tough time, right? What do? What's your instinct? It's to pick them up. Right. That's what you do. But when you're having a hard time, or you're feeling like, God, I shouldn't be feeling this because I'm lucky because my life is good.
Right.
Sometimes we don't give ourselves the permission to feel it. And for everybody out there who's feeling it, you shouldn't feel guilty about it. Nobody's wallowing in pity. That's not what it's about. But you should allow yourself to feel the disappointment. And it's comforting to know that it's okay, because you're not alone in this.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
I think that, sorry, I lost you. I lost the Zoom for a second. Let me get back to it. No, but I think that's very important.
I see you.
You still see me?
I see you.
I lost the screen. I can't see you.
But
I think it's very important, like that we lean on each other during this time. Reaching out to your friends, having people to talk through with whatever you're going through during this time. It varies for everyone. Some people are some people are sick. Some people are dealing, with actually contracting the virus. Some people are dealing with family members being sick. Some people are dealing with financial stressors and other things. But I think it's very important that you have those people to lean on and talk to throughout this time, and realize that we're all in this together, and that there's plenty of people, your friends, who would want you and want to grow through this with you together. So I think that's very important that we lean on each other during this time.
Tell me one or two things you've done over the last month that have been different in terms of reaching out maybe to people you haven't talked to in a while, or making a connection that's made you feel better.
I actually have done some really cool things with my family and friends, definitely using group FaceTime a lot more. Me and my family have been able to, be distant. I haven't seen them physically in, probably 2 months now, but to use technology to communicate with each other. You know, we're able to get on Zoom or get on group FaceTime. We have Bible studies together. We talk. We try to, you know, just hang out with one another. And then actually over Easter, with my fiance's family, we did a Zoom scavenger hunt, which was surprisingly actually very fun. Her cousin actually kind of created it, and so you would get like a prompt to. So we had all these teams. There was like 30 of us on Zoom, and we had these teams, and like you get a prompt, like first person to take a picture fully drenched in the shower, fully clothed, or so you have to run, take a picture, and send it to win the scavenger hunt. First person to find a measuring tape in your home. So we had a really cool scavenger hunt over Easter, and just, you know, it was surprisingly actually very fun, and just having the opportunity to hang out with family and chill over Zoom, even though we can't be together. So we've been trying to find ways like that, which I think are very important, that people should continue to try to find for themselves too.
Absolutely. My daughter turned 26. She lives in LA and is by herself. And, you know, usually when it comes to family birthdays, it's hard to get everybody, extended family, together. We did a surprise party for her the night before last on Zoom, and everyone showed up, and they didn't have to travel far. They just had to go into their living room. But it was a birthday that was different, but a birthday that she will never forget, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's, I don't think anybody's going to forget this time. You know, it's not anything in our generations that we've dealt with. So it's definitely a lot of memorable times.
A lot of memories. Let's talk about the physical for a moment, because you're a professional athlete, and obviously it's your job, but it's also what you love to stay in good shape. You're getting outdoors, I assume, and you're able to stay in shape. And the reason I raise it is because there are some misconceptions out there. In Sacramento, for example, there are no large gatherings, right? That's very clear. And it's a bummer, right? We can't have folks playing pickup basketball or having big picnics in the park. But that doesn't mean that people are not encouraged to go outside, and even to go outside with a friend or a family member, as long as you're wearing wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart. We want people to get outdoors. That's good for the physical and mental health. What do you think about that?
Man, I think it's amazing, especially if you do it in a safe way. You know, there's more space outdoors than indoors, and so getting out into nature, and like we talked about, having that routine, and getting out and trying to be active and move around. I know it was, you know, that was another thing that was weighing on me mentally, was not being able to work out how I'm used to during this time. During this time, we're supposed to start, you know, OTAs here in a few days. And so it was weighing on my mental, like, dang, I need to work out. I need to, you know, get back to feeling right. And, you know, trying to find ways and be creative and being inventive. And, you know, I've been able to do some quarantine workouts with my fiance in the home, which have been fun. And then also I've been able to get out, you know, away from everyone. And we're actually planning on trying to do like a hike together this weekend, and try to get out in nature. And, you know, I think there's so much space that you can do it in a safe way and get out there and still try to be active and be in a routine. So it's definitely, you know, super important for me to, you know, still try to stay in shape at this time. So
I get it. Okay, I got to shift to one football question. I'm sorry, but so the 49ers have the 13th pick in the draft, which is, I think, in a week or so. What's your prediction? Not who the person may be, but what position? We certainly don't need a defensive tackle. We already have a good one. Great one.
Oh man, it's you know, I think that, you know, they're definitely gonna make the right decision with the pick. I think I trust their leadership, John and Kyle, to, you know, they've built our team from the bottom, you know, all the way up to the top. So I definitely trust, you know, what they're going to do. I know it's going to be definitely interesting because, you know, the draft is there's so many different variables depending on who's drafted, before your pick. So there's no telling what they're going to do. But I'm definitely excited and eager to see, who our new teammates are going to be.
You going to watch it?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I heard they're doing it virtually, so I'm gonna try to watch it. And like we talked about, memories, first virtual draft, I guess.
Virtual draft, absolutely. So maybe let's get back to the subject. Here's another misconception that I want to make sure that we get out there to people. There are some young people who think that they cannot get the COVID virus, and that it's okay for them to be out in groups, congregating. We hear a little bit of this because this is just a virus that affects older people or people who have vulnerable health conditions. And I just want to dispel that because, in Sacramento County, there have been 11 diagnosed cases, may not seem like a lot, between the ages of 0 and 17, 395 between the ages of 18 and 40. And so even though people who are older and who have fragile health conditions are more likely to get seriously ill or die if they get the virus, people of any age can get it. And of course, if they get it, they can bring it home living with parents and or grandparents and get them sick too. So I wanted to just say that, and maybe you can comment a little bit about being safe.
Yes, I mean, it's like, I've been doing a bunch of interviews lately, and, people are talking about football and when the season's going to be back. And of course, everybody's football fans and loves football. But the number one most important thing right now is protecting people's lives and keeping people healthy. And in order to do that, we have to follow these guidelines, continue to be safe, distance from, one another. And that's the only way to kind of get through this and to get back to our normal lifestyles. I feel right now, if you're being, kind of selfish, taking those chances, that this is just going to continue longer than it needs to be. And we're going to lose a lot more lives than we need to lose. So I think it's very important that we take it extremely serious right now. And so we can get back to that normalcy in our life.
Yeah, I really appreciate, again, you saying that because, hey, this is how you make your living and it's and it is your life. But it is important to have perspective here because you're darn right football is important and professional sports, and we all miss it, right? It's one of the pieces of our lives that are missing. I mean, baseball season should just be getting going and the NBA playoffs and winding down and all that. But we have other important things, and actually more important things we got to really think about, and it's the health of people. Absolutely. We're going to have to figure out how we get kids back to school by September in a way that is safe, depending upon where we're at with testing and the state of the virus. And I think you're giving it some perspective here is really helpful for people to hear.
And that actually is a good segue to. We've had a bunch of questions coming in about school and kids, trying to graduate and trying to stay up on their education and keep their skills sharp throughout this hard time. And I know a lot of people are, we talked about it a few days ago, trying to give youth access to technology to continue school, and also kids who don't have internet access, trying to fight to get them access to continue their school. So can you talk a little bit about the situation on both those kind of fronts? And I know you guys are doing a lot of work trying to get everybody who needs it what they need, but I know there's some challenges as well.
Well, here's the thing. Thank you for asking. Here's the thing about this terrible virus. It's exacerbating a lot of the inequities that already exist in our community. And I know you've made schools a real priority. The work that you've done in South Sacramento and elsewhere is really important. But this has made it worse because at least those young people who don't have access to technology at home could go to school. And now the districts are doing the very best they can. Some are doing better than others to raise up this distance learning, and a lot of dedicated teachers, of course, who we're very, very grateful to for adjusting and reaching out to all of their kids and students. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of young people don't have the hardware, they don't have the Chromebooks or the computers. And then if they have them, they don't have ready access to the internet. And so we are working real hard with our school districts and our internet companies, our technology companies, to try to fill as many gaps as possible. Companies like Comcast and AT&T and some of the other companies are offering free internet for 2 months. And so now it's a matter of matching the households, right, that don't have it. And you don't know that unless they come forward and say they need it in many instances. And so this is a struggle in real time. There's a lot of heroic work going on out there, but it really shows, I think, just how vast the gap is between kids from some neighborhoods and kids from other neighborhoods. And we've got to get everybody back to school in some way physically by September. And that to me is one of the absolute highest priorities. And in the meantime, do the very best we can to reach as many of our Sacramento kids and make sure that they get everything that we have to offer them here.
Yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, that's, we've had conversations. That's extremely important to me. And trying to find ways to make sure that, youth can stay in school and stay up on their schoolwork, and trying to do everything we can to make sure that they have every opportunity that they have at their fingertips to be successful. And it really starts there. And, this time is affecting everything. It's affecting school too, which, a lot of people don't necessarily think about. So if we can continue to find ways to make sure, every kid has that, I think that's super important.
Yeah.
Some of the other questions, people had were, just, hope, light at the end of the tunnel, like where, I know it would bring me a lot of comfort if I had and I know it's a hard question to answer, but I know it would bring me a lot of hope if I had okay, I have a time frame for, when we can get on the other side of this.
Well, there is hope, first of all, because this state is not going to, we're not going to be in this state forever. We are not. And in fact, if you look at the last couple of weeks, we've had real success, as I said earlier, in bending this curve, both in California and in Sacramento. And so what I talked about earlier this week was we're at the beginning of transitioning back gradually to some form of normal life. And I think it will be gradual. The biggest problem we have, which is not something that we can solve locally, although we are working to increase the amount of testing in Sacramento itself, is that there is not a national testing program. And until you have the tests, you don't know who's positive and therefore must remain isolated. You don't know on the antibody side who's had the illness and is now through it and probably okay to resume life. And you don't know who's had contact with those who've tested positive in that first category. So it makes it difficult to think about a 180-degree turn back to the way it was at the beginning of March. So I think what's going to happen is it's going to be gradual. I think we will get to a place where we are opening some retail again, where we're opening restaurants, but in very careful ways, maybe at half or less capacity, people spread farther apart, people wearing masks, and please wear a mask out there. It's not required in Sacramento County, but it's a good thing to do in combination with the physical distancing. We'll start returning maybe 2-3 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, some gradual return, but it's going to be slow. And, thinking about the NFL and thinking about theater and thinking about large gatherings, I think that's going to be one of the last things that we bring back here until there is a lot more testing, We're sure that a lot more people have either a natural immunity or there are more medicines, more therapeutics, and ultimately a vaccine. So there is hope because this won't last forever. We've got brilliant people in the science field that are working as hard as they can here in California to find the remedy as quickly as possible. And we will, just like any rough time in life, look back and say that was then, and hopefully be better for it in many ways. But we will see some gradual resumptions, I think, over the weeks ahead. But it's going to be slow, and we're going to have to just continue to buck up for the health of ourselves, for the health of our loved ones, and for the health of our entire community. And as you said, find the joy in little things. Yeah. Find the joy in connecting with family in ways that you never have before, with a friend you haven't talked to in a long time. Find a new hobby, a new interest. Get outdoors and see things maybe that you haven't seen before, and have faith, because ultimately that's what'll get us through.
Yeah, and I think to add on to that is I hope that we all can learn and grow and be better on the other side of this. I feel, finding solace and taking good things and taking positive things we learn from this experience is super important. And to carry those things out of this, whether it's being more safe and washing our hands more, or loving on our family more during this time, or our communities coming together and supporting each other, and not just leaving your friends and your family out there on their own. I hope that we can take these things with us as a society on the other side, when all the virus is no longer a threat. So I really hope that can happen.
It will, and it's in many ways it's happening now. It's inspiring to see the way the people of Sacramento have stepped forward to help others. I mean, we've raised over $1 million in our Donate for Sacramento fund to benefit those who are dealing with the lack of food, or small businesses who need a bridge if they haven't been able to get, any of the federal aid. Some of the, a lot more support for the homeless population. There's just been an incredible outpouring. And the question people always ask is, what can I do? And the other thing, Arik, before I forget, and I know our teams have got a little slide or two to put up on the screen. If you're really in a desperate situation and you're feeling like, you just can't handle it anymore, there are a lot of resources out there. There are a lot of people who are professionally trained who you can talk to if you're really depressed or you're anxious. God forbid you're in a domestic violence situation, and you need to talk to somebody about what to do. There is a lot of support. And so we're putting all that, I know, on our engagesacramento.org blog. And I know you're going to use your social media to put all of that information out as well. There are a lot of resources out there.
Yeah, I'm going to be posting. I'm going to be posting all these too, so people don't have to take screenshots and write them down immediately. I know. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be posting all these, trying to give people as many resources as possible during this time. WellSpace is an amazing company. I know about them. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be posting these and trying to give people access to as much resources and support as possible, because I definitely think we can't do this alone, and everybody needs somebody to call, and issues that people are going through. So I think that's very important.
You meet a lot of people, I know when you come back to Sacramento, you make a real effort again to visit schools and to see what you can do to be helpful in the community. When you talk to a young person who's maybe struggling, what's your message, and what would you say to them now?
Oh man, I just try to be present and be there and talk to them and just let them know that someone cares about them and that someone's interested in their life and what they're going through, and just show genuine love, show genuine compassion, and show genuine care for another individual can go a long way. And that's really the main thing that I try to provide, and hope that I can and help in some way, is just trying to be genuine and authentic and just show love and show care. And then with that, trying to do everything I can to back that up financially, because people need resources. But when I talk to youth and people day in and day out, it's really just trying to show people that I'm just a regular guy just like you. I go through things as well, and that I love and care for you, and someone cares about your future, and someone cares about what you're going through. So that's really just what I try to show.
No, I appreciate it. So maybe an even more important question: what's it like to tackle Aaron Rodgers?
It's when you're able to get him, he's a future Hall of Famer. So when you're able to get him, in front of thousands of people, is definitely an exciting moment for sure.
That's great. I know all of these resources are popping up on the Zoom screen here, which is really good. And again, you can go to Arik's social media or my various sites. Engage Sacramento, Engage Sac. Excuse me, not Sacramento. I've only been in office 3.5 years. EngageSac.org. Very good, man. What else do we want to talk about?
Oh no, I think that's been amazing. I think the main thing that I wanted to talk about is try to give people some hope, give people some resources, show that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I think we are, like you talked about, I think we are going to see better days here soon, and that's some great things to look forward to. And in this interim, there are plenty of resources out there that you can tap into to help get you where you're going through. And then really just on the other side of this, I hope that we can carry some of these positive things we learned throughout this experience with us.
It's well said. I can't say it better. So it's really good to be with you. You know what? Be healthy, be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for caring about your community.
Mm-hmm.
And may the Niners get back to the Super Bowl sooner than later.
Yeah, we'll be back for sure. Appreciate you taking some time. It's always great talking to you and talking about Sacramento. And I appreciate what you do for our city, being the leader of our city. And anytime Sacramento is improving and getting better, it makes me extremely happy. So I'm glad that you're our leader.
Thanks so much, Arik. All the best, everyone. Thank you.